Good morning, Digit fam. Adam Dowd here with another day of tech nibbles for your palate and continuing our tour of vacation tech for you. And today, I want to talk about bikes. New Orleans, like many major cities, has a bike share program which takes the best of Chicago's bike share program and combines it with the best of the scooter share program. Basically, you pick up a bike from anywhere, ride it as long as you want, and drop it off anywhere. The mobile app shows you where the nearby bikes are. I used it for tooling around the French Quarter and for retrieving the rental car when we were headed out to the bayou for a swamp tour. Here in Chicago, we have a bike share program that makes you pick up and drop off bikes from stations, so the system in New Orleans was a new one for me and I quite enjoyed it. There's not really a lot more to be said here, except that at one point a bike's GPS failed and reported my location in the Mississippi River, and the most interesting part about that was the bike share company only wanted to charge me an extra $10. And we wonder why these things aren't profitable. New Orleans is a fairly bike-friendly city. Most thoroughfares had bike lanes, though not protected bike lanes, but I quite enjoyed my two-wheeled time there. Anyway, the point is, more people should bike and less people should drive, and here's hoping that happens soon, and I'll get off my soapbox now. It is June 25th, 2019, and this is your Digit Daily. So this is interesting. Microsoft is reportedly working on a dual-screened foldable Surface tablet that might support Android apps, and what? So let's break all this down, because the further you read into that sentence, the more it sounds like this is coming from that friend that we all have that continuously makes stuff up to sound more and more impressive, even though pretty much everybody knows he's full of crap. Well, in this case, that friend is Jeff Lynn, an associate director at IHS Markit, and reported by Forbes. Oh, Forbes. Well, now it all makes sense, because this article is the very definition of "you won't believe what happened next." So, we know Microsoft is working on the Surface tablet. Duh, it's a great hardware and it sells pretty well. But Microsoft is working on a dual-screen tablet. Okay, I guess that part kind of makes sense. We've seen a lot of versions of dual-screen tablets coming out, and most recently at Computex, so Microsoft wants to get ahead of the curve there. Okay, that's probably a good call. Windows has native support for multiple screens, so sure, why not? Microsoft is working on a dual-screen Surface tablet that runs Android apps. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Android emulation on a Windows device is not crazy. People have been doing that for years. There's always been a hacky way of doing it that really only true Android geeks have really wanted to go with. I mean, I'm writing this script on a Lenovo 2-in-1 that has a tablet mode, and do I want Android on here? I guess sure, it'd be nice to flip the screen over and bang out a game of Clash Royale, but I really don't see that being a selling point here. Well, let me clarify. To me, sure, that's a selling point. To the average user, I see it as little more than just confusing. I mean, think about it. If anything, tablets should be trying to get into the productivity space like what Apple's been trying to do. I'm not really sure we need to dumb down our productivity machines by adding mobile device capability there. But fine, Microsoft wants to sell a $1,000 dual-screen laptop to people who want to run Snapchat. Sure. But the article goes on. The Surface will also reportedly run iCloud services too, and that's where we go too far. I'll be honest, that's the point where this article lost all credibility with me. I mean, this does not jive with anything that we have seen coming out of Apple, like, ever. Don't get me wrong, Apple's excited to sell you a tablet with iCloud on it, but it's called the iPad. I kind of wonder if maybe Forbes saw xCloud and read it as iCloud. That's honestly my best guess here, and I could be wrong. Maybe Microsoft does want to appeal to the Apple crowd. I just don't think Apple would let Microsoft anywhere near iCloud services because, well, that would be insane. Well, either way, we'll have to wait until Q1 or Q2 of 2020 to find out. And this is a Microsoft timetable, so it might even be more than that. We'll just have to wait and see. But you know what we won't have to wait for? The Roundup! Depending on the state of your bank account, I have either good news or bad news for you. Amazon announced its Prime Day Spectacular will now be a 2-day Spectacular on July 15th and 16th, neither of which, by the way, are actually Prime. In the future, it would be awesome for this to move to July 2nd and 3rd, since those would be the only two consecutive Prime numbers, but I'm guessing the American holiday might muck up those plans. But anyway, for many of us, July 15th is payday, so I'm sure that's not a coincidence. TechCrunch is reporting that hackers have stolen years of call logs and metadata from cell sites themselves. Once a hacker can penetrate a cell site, they can download records of calls routed through that site and gain access to a caller's phone number, who they connected with, and their location. The NSA is quite upset with these attacks because they don't like competition edging in on their turf. Meanwhile, GasBuddy has offered assistance in selling that location information. I'm kidding about that second part. Or am I? You're a wizard, Harry! Or at least you can be if you start playing Harry Potter Go. Harry Potter Wizards Unite. 2 reporters from Engadget gave it a whirl over the weekend and found it somewhat lacking. The gameplay sounds more interesting than Pokemon Go, if I'm totally honest, but I probably won't play that either because I'm just not that interested in Harry Potter. I started with the books, didn't get past 5. I tried the movies, didn't get past 4. But hey, if that's your jam, then happy spellcasting. I hope you listen to the Digit Daily and the Android Authority podcast, link in the show notes, and the SoundGuys podcast, link in the show notes, while you're out tracing runes or whatever it is you do. SpaceX launched its Falcon Heavy early this morning, carrying more spacecraft destined for orbit, including a crowd-funded spaceflight project headed by the Planetary Society and Bill Nye. This project, called LightSail 2, looks to become the first spacecraft to orbit the Earth using solar sailing technology. It's trying to prove that the tech is viable for CubeSats, the standardized satellite packages that SpaceX has been hauling into orbit. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Falcon Heavy boosters landed perfectly, while the center booster missed the landing pad and crashed and exploded into the ocean, which really shows why SpaceX's landing boosters are really cool. Worst case scenario, you get to watch a really awesome explosion. Elon sure does know his audience, doesn't he? You know what I love more than anything? When a news outlet gives you all the information you need to know and adds a joke or a barb and does it all in the headline of an article. Boeing has so many grounded 737 MAX planes waited to be fixed, they're parking them in the employee parking lot. And thank you, Jalopnik. And finally, the internet suffered something of an outage yesterday, and the fault seems to lie at the feet of a small ISP in Pennsylvania that accidentally passed along some bad routing information for the internet at large. Then Verizon passed along that same bad routing information, and all hell broke loose. Basically, the ISP decided it wanted to handle network traffic for sites like Reddit, Netflix, and Hulu, and, well, that didn't go well. But this outage highlighted an obvious problem in the internet at large, a problem that we've known about for some time already, but whether or not this will prompt people to actually fix that problem remains to be seen. But for now, that is going to do it for today's Digit Daily. If you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter on Digit.com. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about DigitDailyPod.com. Once again, I'm Adam Dowd, Dead Technology on Twitter, and we'll talk again tomorrow.